What is up, everybody? This is your boy, Teran Rodriguez, host of Set Point here on OATIIZ Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that sports. And we have another interview with a coach whose team is in the NCAA men's volleyball tournament. And without any further delay, let us introduce the one, the only, Alan Knipe of Long Beach State men's volleyball. Alan, how are you doing?
I'm great, Teran. Thanks for having me.
Thank you, Alan. All right. So you being the host team, how special is that for you and for your team hosting the NCAA men's volleyball tournament?
Yeah, it's a big deal. We're one of the few championships that has a national championship that you can actually host on your campus. There's obviously a lot of neutral site type championships, and so it's a little different in the men's game. So you can still play on your campus. It can mean a lot to your alumni, your community, your season ticket holders, and hopefully you have a fan base that will come out, which obviously this tournament's already sold out, so they'll come out. And it means a lot. It's exciting time. I'm really grateful to everybody at Long Beach State for all the hard work they do behind the scenes to make this happen, because this certainly has nothing to do with me or my staff putting in a lot of extra work on hosting a tournament. This actually gets put on the shoulders of people that are already, wearing many different hats. So I appreciate everybody doing it. But Long Beach State has a long tradition of doing things right when they do it. So I'm really fortunate that we're hosting, and really fortunate to have the crew that we have running it, because it'll be a great event.
Now, as for your team just recently won the Big West tournament in Hawaii. How is the atmosphere over there regarding the Hawaii fans and volleyball fans in general?
Yeah, I mean, ever since I've been a player back in the day to assistant coach to head coach, Hawaii has always had a big crowd, a really, high IQ, volleyball IQ crowd. They understand it. And, it creates a really electric atmosphere, so it's fun to be in that environment as an athlete. It's fun to be in that environment as a coach. It's a good situation. That's why I'm very proud of what we're able to produce here at the Pyramid, with the same type of situation where we pack it and create an environment that these student athletes really want to be part of and will remember the rest of their lives. Those are the type of games they remember. They don't remember empty gyms.
Now, as for the tournament itself, you took down two really good teams in Cal State Northridge and UC Irvine. How tough were those opponents? And you all being one of the top two teams at that time, do you think they brought their best against you? And do you think you're going to get everyone's best going forward?
I absolutely think we'll get everybody's best. I think at this time of the year, that's what everybody should be preparing for. But to go back to your question about the two opponents we played, yeah, I think Theo did such a good job with his team this year, and the brand of volleyball they're playing, and they just had some real physicality to their team, and they were a really aggressive serving team. I think they had a really nice year, and they were a team that you really had to stay focused on and not overlook, because they have the ability, like they did with some teams, get you. And so I was really proud of our guys. And then, as I've mentioned on a couple of other interviews, that watching what Henna was able to do in the semifinal match of, I don't know, I think it was like 45 swings and no hitting errors at that time, hitting 500 or something. That it's one of the better, if not the best, tournament game I've seen in a long time. So, yeah, very dangerous and a very good team, a lot of size and physicality. So, yeah, it was like the Big West should be, and like it usually is, and that is, for sure in the semifinals and the finals, it's going to be really good volleyball. And what's been impressive about the conference is the quarterfinals, semifinals, and finals are producing some really, really good volleyball because of the talent from top to bottom in our conference.
Now, as for your team, one thing that kind of sticks out to me when I see you all is the defense and the LB grit. Talk to us about how the defense has really anchored down when it comes to this season and made like spectacular plays.
Well, I think that blocking defense, there's definitely a ton of technique to it. There's done a ton of prep to it, but in a lot of sports on the defensive end, it's the one side of the game that it's a lot more about effort. Well, a big chunk of it's about effort, I should say. And that's just a choice. That's a choice to compete and play hard in that area. And, I think the backbone of Long Beach State throughout its history has been a defensive team, and I like to think blocking defense team, and you mix that in with a good serving team. It's what we pride ourselves on. It's not that we don't believe in ourselves being an offensive team, because I think we've worked really, really hard, and that's a tough skill to pass the ball and run a good offense and a balanced offense, which we're doing this year. So we have a nice combination, and that's why we've had the season we've had so far.
Now, I know there's a lot of your players that are top to bottom who are basically load the bases for you all. Who are those players that have stood out, and who are some unsung heroes that have really come along and that deserve some spotlight or recognition?
Yeah, just to go through it, I think that obviously the guys who touch the ball the most, Mason has done a great job in our serve receive and defense, and especially the way we run our serve receive. Aiden's been fabulous all season long and running our offense with great distribution, getting everybody involved and hitting a really high number. Our middles, Simon's been a beast at the net, front row, as far as blocking and offensive, and then he goes back there and serves like an opposite. And then we've had Lazar and Dieras in there in the middle, and they both have produced when they were in there. And during the Hawaii series, Dieras came in, Lazar's knee was a little bothered, and he's been playing great, so we haven't made that flip back. But I have no problem playing Laz. He'd be a huge upgrade if we need him at any point. Dying to get back out there. He's had a wonderful freshman year. And then if you look at the pins, Sartorius has been the rock for us. He's been out there all year, and Nathan Harlan has been amazing in every role we've asked him to, and carried a huge load for us through conference when Clark was dinged up, and then Clark came back, and we're using both of them right now, and they're both bringing so much to the table for us. And then Skylar's probably the one who maybe doesn't get enough credit for what he does, playing opposite, but passing like an outside. And he's really a left, but he's playing on the right, and he's been amazing for us. He's serving well. He's blocking a ton of balls and has a ton of range and upside. So yeah, I think from there, you think of some of the things, the individual roles the guys that play. Connor Bloom's been great off the bench serving for us. Nato Dickinson plays a number of roles for us, coming in as a blocking sub, and Dane Hillis has done a good job. Sebasani's been unbelievably great the last month or so in practice, really, really pushing hard to get on the court. And Daniil Herskinovich doing some great things in practice too. So we got a good group, and they're pushing each other really, really hard. And I think the term for our team is definitely team. We're definitely more about the sum of our parts than we are about individual. When people are talking about our team right now, they're not necessarily talking about just one guy or one part of our game. And that's a wonderful position to be in as a head coach.
Excellent stuff there, Alan. I know your team hasn't really lost a whole lot. They lost to UC Irvine and UCLA, but were there any turning points in the season or any eye-opening moments that made you say and rethink everything?
Yeah, well, you bring up the UCLA series that, obviously we beat UCLA the first night, lost the second night, and then against Irvine, we lost them the first night and beat them the second night. And then, so that shows a lot right there, of the response that we had and the prep that we had the first night when we played UCLA. And we certainly feel like we had some chances in that second night, but they played great, especially in the third and fourth set that weekend. Yeah, I think that the series at the end of the year with Irvine ended up being a great reminder of the importance of playing with not only the prep, but the determination and the effort and the grit and the competitiveness. And when I say competitiveness, I'm not just talking about overall just energy and rah competing type thing. I'm talking about literally competing from the end line with the ball, literally competing as a passing unit when they're serving, literally committing as a cover unit, as a blocking unit, staying connected with one another. And I think that was certainly something that was lacking in our match at Irvine. Without taking any credit away from them, they played great that night. They certainly deserved to win that match, and they played great. But it helped us make sure that we did a little bit of an internal check on some of the things, because we definitely had some long runs where we hadn't lost, so.
Teran Rodriguez of IE Sports Radio, host of Set Point, here with Long Beach State men's volleyball coach Alan Knipe. A few more questions and then I'll let you go. So obviously Clark Godbold was named the tournament MVP. How proud of you were you of Clark, considering he's had his ebbs and flows and his ups and downs?
Yeah, well, there was a stretch at the beginning of the season until right at the beginning of conference. Right before that week of conference starting, I think you had to be making a case that Clark could be in the run for Player of the Year. He was having that good of a year, and then it was tough. It was tough for our team, and it was really tough for Clark to be out for the extended period of time he was through conference. And it was next man up, and next man up was Nathan, and what a great next man up for us to have. And he jumped in there and acted like the fifth-year senior he was, and took advantage of that role and helped us. But getting that extended time for Clark to kind of get his legs underneath him again was important. And he played at the end of the season for us against Irvine a little bit the first night, and started the second night and played really, really well. And then it continued to get better each match in Hawaii, and he absolutely was great in the finals, in every aspect of the game, offensively, blocking, and he was incredible from the service line.
All right, this is going to be a fill in the blank question. Long Beach State wins the national championship if they blank.
Yeah, for us there's not an easy way to answer that question, to be honest with you. What we want to do is, I would imagine what most teams want to do, and that is we want to rely on the ability to be who we are on both ends of the game, the offense and defense. At the same time, being mature enough and experienced enough to adjust and be flexible throughout the tournament and within a match or a set. That means whether it's formations, whether it's personnel, whether it's tactics. And to do all those type of things, you need to be totally dialed with the match in hand, totally in control of your effort and your communication and your preparation, so that you can have those type of discussions with each other as a player, and making sure that they're staying connected. And as a staff, we're there to advise and to help, and to give insight of what we think adjustments can be made. And that sounds very remedial, but my point is that there's going to be moments within the tournament that not everything goes your way, and not everything goes the way you thought it was going to go, whether it's for your team or the other team. And it's in those moments that your experience and your training comes into play. So there's a great quote of not rising to the level of your competition, but you fall to the level of your training. And so we need to rely on falling to the level of our training. In other words, we need to use all of the different tools in our proverbial toolbox that we've worked on all year long, and not be rigid that it has to be just one way.
All right, and then to close this off before I let you go, you probably get asked this quite a bit, but what are ways that we can make the NCAA men's volleyball aspect 1% better? Because obviously, if you get 1% better, you improve drastically. When I'm talking about ways I and everyone else can improve the game of NCAA men's volleyball?
Well, we're certainly tracking in the right direction. I mean, it's changed a lot in the last 10 years, and the attention's been great. I just think that I think all the universities need to know that the promotion of our sport is important. The promotion, and I don't mean that in a just a pure PR way. I mean it that the brand of volleyball that these collegiate athletes are playing is incredible. It is so much better than it was, not too long ago. It's making these huge leaps, and that's because kids are getting involved at a younger age. They're getting better coaching at a younger age. They're getting better opportunities at a younger age, and then when they get to the collegiate level, the base has been widened so far from a handful of schools out here in Southern California to really good programs throughout the country that that are really putting the effort into the sport, and they're training their teams at high level, and they're traveling around the country getting good non-conference games. That I just think that we got to keep finding ways to get eyes on our sport any way we possibly can. I like the fact that it's in Southern California, maybe because this year, to maybe get in-person eyes on our sport also. I think that men's volleyball is wonderful to watch on TV. It's a great sport, but when you watch the game live, it's completely different. To sit close and see the size and physicality of these athletes and what they're doing, I think it just needs to continue to be exposed. People need to be exposed to that game. It's incredible. It is growing. It's a great game. This team, these teams that are at this tournament, this is going to be a great showcase. There are some very talented teams coming, and a lot of standout future pro/Olympians that will be on the floor the week of the pyramid on all sorts of teams that are coming. And I just think that we got to keep promoting that. It's a very special thing, men's volleyball, and we all owe it to the sport that's been great to us to continue to get new people to see it, new people to follow it, new people to invest in it.
Well, Alan, one thing is for certain, I will do my best to help grow the game of NCAA men's volleyball, and I hope everyone else follows suit. Do you have any other final shout outs or thank yous that you want to give out before we end this off?
No, I just think that I think what you hit there at the end is important. Teran, you are one of the guys that's trying really hard, to get the message out. And I don't know if you hear it enough, but it's appreciated. That the professionalism that you go about your business and what you're trying to do. These are the type of things. So keep doing what you're doing, keep sharing what you're doing, your template. And obviously there's some other great people that are promoting our sport right now. Keep sharing that, keep getting it out, and keep doing what you're doing. People will follow.
It's much appreciated, Alan. There it is, everybody. My interview with Alan Knipe. He's Alan Knipe. I'm Teran Rodriguez. This is another interview with one of the NCAA men's volleyball teams that have made the tournament. See you all soon.